Hi, my name is Leah, and my goal here is to make a digestible and simple guide to the new engineering rubric made by Vex, or the Global Robotics and Science Foundation. On their website here, which I'll link in the description, there are two types of rubrics. So just the normal engineering notebook rubric for judges to use, and the student-friendly engineering notebook rubric. I do think that the student-friendly engineering notebook rubric is more simple and easier for people to grasp, but I will be going over both of these to ensure clarity for both. So this is the one that judges use, and uses team number and judge name, how like in the old RCF rubric. And this first category is organization and professionalism of the entire notebook. The goal of this was to push a more professional setting in Vex Robotics, as in the real world, engineering documentation has to be clean, has to be satisfactory to show a parent company, a boss, or any other organization that has to look over what the engineering team is documenting or doing. So first we have cover and team information, and what I noticed from this specific change, or a major change to the rubrics, are the descriptions are a lot simpler. They're just like one sentence, one line. This does cause a lot of confusion for people when you have to document things in your notebook. Like, someone can mean like, what do you mean notebook has to easily follow chronologically? Does it have to be fully chronological? Does it have to be, can you do different sections that are all chronological? Which I think should be cleared up in the future, but for now I'm just going to go over what we have. So team cover and team information. The exemplementary, which is the highest score, which I'm going to focus on, is complete and professionally presented. So it can't be a joke. It has to be something that looks clean, has to be something like, even if it's just very simple, has team name, has engineering notebook book 1 or something, the start date and end date, perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be like amazing. It just has to look professional enough for someone to look at. So table of contents is thorough and consistently updated. This means that from the date of the competition, your table of contents has to match the progress that has been completed before the competition or notebook due date. Simple. So this is pagination and chronologically documented. Notebook is easy to follow chronologically. So my interpretation of this, which can depend on the judge, is the notebook has to have clear organization, which means color coding for all the different engineering design process, which I will talk about here. And it has to be chronological, like you can't accidentally have a page dated in June before a page dated in May of the same year. Date and signatures, this doesn't change much. Every entry dated and attributed. Attributed just means who made this page, and what I did in past years was have participants, which are like the people who were there during the meeting or discussion, so it shows who was involved. And lastly, professional presentation, which is the overall goal of this category. High professional and polished. I mean, high professional doesn't have to mean like has to look like exactly what you see in the real world. It just has to be professional enough for a judge to look at and see like these people have made an effort to make the notebook look simple, polished, and serious. That's the good word for it. This is the more important section of the rubric. Engineering design process of robot or coding projects. This is 25 points. That's a lot for this rubric. Problem definition, which is the same thing as identify problem. Thorough analysis and constraints. While being simple, all it's saying is thorough analysis of the the game manual, the override game manual, and constraints like rules. Like, you're limited to a 55-watt drivetrain, for example. That's one of the main constraints for this year's game. Brainstorming is extensive ideation of comparisons. So in the old rubric, you had to make multiple, which is like 3 or more. So this is basically the same. Extensive ideation means like research, like being able to use ideas from other people and consider what parts of them are good, with comparisons. So you're weighing how the different options you have can help what you and your team want, which goes with problem identification. What does your team want for this robot? What does your team want for the drivetrain? What does your team want for the arm that grabs the pins? So design and coding decisions. So this is updated because originally on the 1.0 they didn't have programming, and they added that later on. So decisions supported with evidence. So evidence is like testing data, what other people have done, like your observations, competitions. Early season is better to do testing data that's proven to be your testing data. Do not fake your testing data. It will not work on your favor. This is new, so prototyping. Systematic prototyping evaluation. People didn't have to document this before. It wasn't necessary to get a 5 in brainstorming, but now it has its own category. So systematic prototyping evaluation is what people have done already. Everyone makes a prototype for something that doesn't work and you have to change it. You just have to ensure that it's in your notebook now because it's graded on its own section. So people have done this in the past, more competitive notebook teams, but now it's required for all teams to do so. Lastly is iterative process. Highly professional and polished. This has to basically do with professional presentation. What I think of this is like every single design cycle for a specific subsystem, like a drivetrain, an intake, etc., has to be easy to follow. It has to make sense, what your team did, and generally, like, as long as the judges see why you're doing it, it should be okay. This is new. This is design content and technical depth of robot or coding projects. So first criteria is sketches and diagrams. Before, this was not needed. People just did this to make their notebook look more professional, which does help with the first section. So high quality annotated drawings or diagrams. This can go from hand-drawn diagrams to CAD drawings, which you can do in Onshape, Inventor, and basically all applications. The goal of this is to bring real-life skills, such as CAD and drawings, into this, like blueprints, for example. That's professional in architecture. Technical explanations, deep engineering coding reasoning. So, like, engineering reasoning would be like structural concepts. Like, for example, for a bridge, you would need to explain why the trusses help the structural integrity of the bridge. And coding reasoning would be like math, equations, and other explanations of coding concepts that help the judges understand what you're using. This goes to calculations, which I interpreted as like RPM, which is gear ratios, time, like with the motor rotations per minute, and quantitative analysis, which also can go with testing data. Yeah, CAD build and code documentation, comprehensive records of builds or coding projects. This goes with the build and code section of the RCF rubric. It's comprehensive records, like judges can follow it, which means like there are steps like 1, 2, 3, like for coding routes for autons, and build steps for the robot that can use the CAD to aid it. Use of evidence. So evidence makes sure that teams do not fake what they're trying to share to judges. They're very much so focusing on teams need to do this to be able to succeed in the real world, which is why I like this new rubric a lot compared to the RCF one, because they are trying to get students to be innovative, to be more in depth, which does help you a lot in quantitative judging in RCF rubric, but now it's just a required thing to do. So throughout just means consistently in this section. Testing, analysis, and iteration for bot design and coding projects. So test procedures is well-designed experiments. So we need a test procedure, like steps on how the testing is done, which is what I did before and I advise people I've helped to do. And basically what I see here is all the stuff in the old testing section just split up into parts that I would use. So data collection, extensive quantitative data. They want you to share data that you've got. Extensive just means like more detailed data, like smaller numbers, more like independent factors collected. Like they want to see to make sure that this data is legit. And analysis and improvements, deeper interpretation of results of evidence of data-driven iteration. What they're saying is they want you to summarize the data, what that means for your robot, and how to go forward with the engineering design process after you see how the robot works. And to add on to well-designed experiments, I just thought of this, having images of the bot performing it, like in steps, rather than like a video. Please don't do videos, just do images. Judges are not required to see QR code videos, and just a lot easier to do stop motion images. So that is 15 points on the rubric. Next is team management and project documentation. This is project management in the old rubric. Team roles and responsibilities evolved. A lot of people don't understand like what evolved means in this context, which makes sense. It's a weird word to use, but my interpretation of this is the role of each person on the team is clearly identified, and even sometimes changes throughout the season. So they want to see that everyone has a role on the team, and they want to see people changing and adapting to new roles to make sure they're helping the team. Meeting notes, thorough and actionable. This is weird wording to me, but thorough just means like documenting what happened in the meeting, like trying not to like skip on important details. And actionable is like like something people would actually do. Make sure you're describing what you're actually doing. Like meeting notes sounds like, oh, you're doing a log on everything you've done. That sounds very strange. But what I would do is have an agenda of every single thing you've done, team has done, but not like go too far into it, because what really shows the actionable meeting notes is what you're documenting, what the team was doing at that time. And also would have like meeting 1, meeting 2, meeting 3 title notes in here, which goes to schedules and planning, which is like who can make this date, who can make this date, who can make this time of that date, like making sure that you're including schedules of everybody, making sure that they see that you're accommodating to everybody's commitments and gaps of commitment that they're trying to compromise on. So comprehensive project management. So planning would also mean like Gantt charts, sprints, which are short-term goals, and like just using strategies that people in the real world use to make sure everyone's on task and understand what they're supposed to do. That also means that that tasks should be spread out to every team member. Like for example, like for building, you would have this name on this date. Like making sure that the judges know what tasks everyone's doing on the team, which goes to responsibilities involved. Reflection learning, which is 10 points. Competition, reflections, and failure analysis. Deep analysis and lessons learned, including root cause analysis. During competitions, you're always going to face issues with the robot, and they want to see that more in depth because before, term analysis wasn't really necessary. But in reality, term analysis is the same thing as testing data. You're testing your robot on the field. You're testing it in a real-life scenario. So they want you to treat tournaments and their reflection like how you would reflect and summarize testing data. Future improvements, strategic planning, and actionable goals. Strategic planning is short-term goals in the future, like, oh, this is broken, so we need to fix it at this time because we have a competition at this date after this one. So they want to see that you're making plans after an issue happens at a competition. Lastly is completeness and season narrative, which is 6 points. And the two criteria are continuity, which is complete season narrative, and evidence of growth, exceptional story of improvement. Continuity means complete season narrative, which means you're not missing any, you're not having a month gap of content missed in your notebook. And for evidence of growth, exceptional story improvement, it's not really a story, it's more like they want to see how your team has improved, your robot has improved throughout the season. So don't worry too much about that because it'll show itself later on. Lastly, I want to go over the student-friendly engineering rubric, which it's different from the other rubric because it has description of the stars and how you would earn this. So exemplementary is we did this all the time and very well, consistently, with very high quality. Proficient is we did this most of the time, but it wasn't that good. Developing is we sometimes did it, but we need more details to make it more professional. And beginning is we rarely did this or just forgot to include it. So first, is your notebook easy to follow at 15% of points? Ask yourself, can someone quickly find information? Are pages in order? Did we write the date on our entries? So you have to look for team information. Everything is included, easy to find. Every team member has a role that's clearly shown in the notebook. Table of contents, it's completely updated. There's no gaps. Dates and page numbers. Every number is dated and numbered, like how it should be. Organization is very neat and professional. Color coding, conciseness, planning out how you're going to develop your robot in a way where it's close to how engineers would do that. Pages in order, easy to follow from the start, from season to now. So it's dated correctly, there's no gaps, there's no inconsistencies. That's what they're looking for. Did we show our engineering design process for a robot in coding projects? 25%. Ask yourself, did we explain why we made choices? Did we try more than one idea? Did we make improvements? This is the same as last time, but they're trying to have teams understand that they want to see you fail. They want you to improve. They want you to be able to go back from the start of the season and go like, we improved a lot. That's what they're trying to see with the different cycles of your robot iterations. Did we explain a robot in code designs? Could another team build a project from our notebook? Did we label drawings? Did we explain how things work? This is important. Could another team build our project from our notebook? That's what I meant. It has to be easy to follow. It has to be like a Lego set. You can build the robot back from nothing with all the pieces. So you need to say what parts did you use and that building step, how did you build it, etc. Same as last time, CAD, pictures and notes, measurements, calculations, technical explanations, and strong evidence. Did we test and improve a robot in coding projects? 15%. Did we write down what happened? Did we learn from our mistakes? Did testing help us improve? Like, they want to see you improve. That's my main point of this new rubric changes. So do write down what happened. You have to make sure that you're not missing anything. That's like I said earlier. This rubric is very good for newer students who don't understand like what to look for, and especially in this very vague wording. They did this because they want students to be creative. They want people to approach it in different ways. They don't want people to follow the same exact thing as the RCF rubric. And this will add a lot of variation to judges, and they'll like that a lot more. Did we work together in organized ways? Did everyone contribute? Did we keep track of what had to be done? Do make and follow our plans? Yeah, this is important. Like, if your plans don't follow, you need to make sure you say that. Like, why didn't it go as planned? What are we going to do to fix it? Like, they want you to see a feedback loop. So the same as last time. Do we reflect and learn? 10%. What worked? What didn't work? What we'll do differently this time? So reflecting on practice and competition success and failures, like I said, very much so like testing data. Planning next steps. They want you to see that you're always thinking ahead. Lastly, did we tell our team's story? 5%. Can someone read our notebook and understand our whole journey? Does it show we improved over time? Do not worry about focusing on this. It'll come over time, and if it doesn't, then you need to find ways to improve. So, thank you so much for joining this with me, and I hope it clears up a lot of problems that you think would come with the vagueness of the descriptions. Just follow your gut. Make sure that you're following it as you interpret it. And some things are simpler than others, but if you want any help, there is a Discord server full of people who can help with Notebook, especially for RCF and Vex, which are we experienced in. I'll have that in the description. Thank you.